Yeah, it's taken away for the first vote. I'm looking for volunteers. Thank you.
I mean, this question, the last question about can we set a different target? Basically, that's what he's asking. The target set by the minister is 5 years, 30%. You believe for your organization this target is unrealistic, for whatever reason, that's what he's saying. And then he foresees, he says, then you set up a target meeting with that target and provide a justifiable reason for not meeting it. That's all the law. If you believe that you've got a justifiable reason for not meeting the target, you cite your justifiable reason. You cite your justifiable reason. Now, our colleagues have indicated we are going to have a conversation. Inspectors are going to have a conversation with you. All the companies that have not met their target, they will also be on a register that is published. And that register is going to say, these are the companies that have not met their target and they've cited justifiable reasons. And if inspectors come to your organization and want to talk about what you cited as a justifiable reason, and they find out later that that's not justifiable, then you have not complied with the law, in that you have not met the target and you don't have a justifiable reason. Then the penalties kick in. Find the penalty. The penalties are in the law already. Therefore, it's your choice. The minister sets a 5-year target. And then the minister says, make a decision as a company, how are you going to make that 5-year target? Remember, that decision that you are making, it's each year over the 5 years. Now, if you say in the first year, I'm going to be 20% of that target, well, you know you're not going to be 20% as terms of this question. That's your choice. You've made that choice. We can't tell you how to make the target. The 5-year target, there's the 5-year target, but you are assessed annually. You're not assessed over 5 years. We assess you annually. You say in the first year, this is my target, and that's what's been assessed. It's not the minister that says, this is your target. It's you as a company who said, this is your target. Therefore, if you say your target for the first year is 30%, and you don't meet that 30%, and you don't have justifiable reason, or you have justifiable reason and the inspectors in the conversation with you are of the view that that justifiable reason is not justifiable after all. And they will look at many things. Use the banks here. If that bank says, we're not able to meet our target because our justifiable reason is that the economy has not done as we thought it would do, therefore we're under pressure. Then the going to say, well, I've looked at Standard Bank, I've looked at First Bank, First National Bank, First Rand, I've looked at Capital. They've all met their target under the same economic conditions that you exist as a bank. Now, how does this economic situation only target you as NetBank? That's a conversation that we're going to have. We need them to justify and show the inspectors why is that. An inspector might conclude that we do not agree, and then the fines take in, they go to court, they will make that argument in court why they believe that your justifiable reason is not justifiable. That's how the system is going to work. That's how the conversation is going to take place between you as a company and the inspectors on the justifiable reason that you've selected. It's not just going to be reversed, it's going to be reversed. There will be penalties for not complying, there will be a court case. That's the process. And then if you convince the court that your justifiable reason was justifiable, then you've got nothing to fear. But if the inspector is able to convince the court that they are correct, that your justifiable reason could not be justifiable, then your penalty will come in. It's not just a certificate, it's also the penalties. Thank you. on that one. I'm dealing with that one. I thought I need to deal with that one because it's a little bit. Now, the issue of national versus provincial, we need to explain this. One, you cannot select 9 provincial targets. That's the first issue. We've got 9 provinces. We've got 9 provincial EAP. If you make your decision and say, I want to report on provincial EAP, and you select which province, he has told you that when you make your selection, you log in for 5 years for that selection that you've made. And you can't say, I'm selecting the Western Cape provincial EAP, I'm selecting the KZN provincial EAP. I'm saying, no, you select one provincial EAP and you are set with that one. If you say you want to select the provincial EAP, then it will apply that EAP that you've selected in all provinces, because you cannot, as soon as you want to select 1 or 2, then you are national, you're selecting national. That's what brings it together. And we're not worried about the discrepancy, because when you look at it, there are only really 2 provinces where provincial EAP matter. It's the Western Cape and maybe KZN because of the Indian community. In the other provinces, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. I mean, if you're a company in the Eastern Cape, or I mean, if you look at the demographics, Africans in all other provinces around about 80%. Doesn't matter whether you use the provincial EAP or not, it just doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. But what I'm trying to explain is that you make a choice, you select the EAP, and if you say your company is in the Western Cape, you're selecting the EAP, whether you've got a branch then in KZN, in Limpopo, that's the provincial EAP that you've selected. If then you want to change that, as he has indicated, you are locked in that, then you either have an EAP provincial or national. There's no gray areas. I mean, I know you have shown many gray areas in this presentation, but in this, there's no gray area. National or provincial. And you cannot have more than 1 provincial EAP. Therefore, the question on national versus provincial to us is not here or there. You make your choice, your selection, and then you do your targets. And the system will give you what does that mean if you select provincial. What does that mean? On the issue of the treasury, we're talking with the treasury on this issue because our view is this. We want to lessen the amount of work for these guys who do, I mean, the consultants who do verification, all these things like triple E. And what is having a discussion with the Treasury, the Commission, BE Commission, because what means that if you've got a certificate for employment equity, that certificate should be good enough for you to get all the points in the BE as far as equity is concerned. Not everything else. You are in that business, you know. BE talks to procurement, the ownership, and all the other issues. We're not concerned about that. We're concerned about equity in the workplace. And if you get the certificate of compliance, that certificate of compliance, as far as we're concerned, should entitle you to all the points on equity for BE. That's the first thing. Therefore, you should be able, on the basis of that certificate, to do your procurement, your work, as far as Nafiga equity. Must explain this. We're not saying that you meet the BEE requirement, because we said the BEE requirements are broader than that. They've got other elements that we need to comply with that we got nothing to do with. On the issue of small employer, whether if you've got learners, you've got what, it's not your thing, because this says a small employer is an employer that employs less than 50 or up to 49. Employed. Now, a person who's on intern or skills, is that person employed in terms of the LRA? The answer is yes. They are employed by that company. Whether the fact that they are an intern, they are whatever you call them, doesn't change their status as an employee. They are employed. Therefore, look at the definition. It says a small employer is any employer that employs less than 50. That is up to 49. Because we can't have 49 and a half. It's 49. And it doesn't matter how you categorize your employees, what you call them, whether you call them what, it doesn't matter. You count the individual that are in your business. If they are more than 49, then you are not a small employer. That's how it is. If they are less than 49, you're an employer. What you call them, because then if we start getting into that area, will really be trending in other areas. But in any case, that has already been determined by law that they are employees. That's how that one is solved. I think I've dealt with the 4 questions, and thank you very much.
Okay, so those people that's online can just take a break. There are people sitting here that also have questions. They must just relax. Anyway, anybody on that side? I thought only 1 or 2 will go up. No, all is going to go up. All right. Are you ready there? Mr. P, are you good? Thank you. You may proceed. Can we still say that side? No, yeah? Let me just first, Mr. P? The good one? Yeah? Okay. I just want to finish that corner, then we'll move this way. I know you're burning. Yes.
Because it was 2 or 3 years. So we tell these people, so they say information. So when you
You've tried hard enough. Ma'am?
Okay, hello. I have a question with regards to a different municipality and the councillors, the elected councillors. We just need clarity on whether elected councillors being on payroll should be reported on. And just looking towards the department, just to clarify for us.
One more in the back. Yeah.
I just have a question in terms of these locations. It says if you have a resident union, you would only consult the authority. Will they consider you consult with the students, union officials, and keep in mind that the body of units is going from the state in the past year. Now, currently, the area legislation, you need to consult with the different professional roles and regional authorities. We not exclude the occupational fields.
Okay, thank you. Can we take a break with that groups, or is there one? Oh, what did that finish now? Okay. Okay. Can we just have two more because we have to get an answer? Okay.
You know that in your top level management, it's the cabinet business for the next 5 years. There's no change, and it's obviously the state of the business. And if there are, they will obviously take someone senior management, which is part of the cabinet. Yes. In setting your annual targets, will you still say put your clients tell me as they are, because you know this is not going to be paid for.
One. Yes, ma'am, we have the honor. I'm giving that to you.
This is a different question. It's just changes of the targets. Areas of the changes that you can I understand why the changes.
Thank you. So we'll come back to this row next, but we'll go online first. They are burning. Robert, can we have you first?
Thank you. I will take two questions. The first one is on the semi-skilled to unskilled levels, because I've indicated that in terms of the sector targets, the Minister of Labour, if you check the amendment, we only envisaging to set the target for only 4 upper levels, meaning that as an employer, you will still be required to develop an employment equity plan and set the targets for semi-skilled, unskilled levels. Those are the ones you will be guided by the sector target that the Minister of Labour is going to publish. And the other one is for the issue of the effectiveness of the system. In reality, remember I said we were envisaging, we were now on the moon, talking about the 2024. And I said we are coming back to the reality in 2023. So the system that I presented over there is for next year reporting period, the 2024. In 2023, no changes at whatsoever on the system, because you are still required to comply with the current legislation. I hope I have covered that.
Thanks, Robert, for those answers. And then just to say, in line with what Robert has said, when you go into the system this year, it will still
be the old system that you used to, because we don't have the proclamation date. So don't worry. Whatever you find there, that's what you're going to report on. There's a question about what happens if you're showing no improvement in your certificate, in your EE reporting, will you still get a certificate? If you have justifiable reasons, yes, you will. But then again, we need to say that you will remember, if you see our launches, there's a time when I hand over the register of compliant employers to the minister. We literally have two lists, compliant and non-compliant. And now, in the new system, we will be able to say to the inspectors, these are the non-compliant ones, or even these are the compliant ones, and these are the justifiable reasons that they've given. An inspector can come and inspect both the compliant and non-compliant. In terms of the compliant ones that have got a certificate, if they have a justifiable reason, they will test the validity of the reason. If you're non-compliant, then they'll test why you're not compliant. So that answers the question. District municipalities are councillors considered employees. The definition of an employee is found in the Labour Relations Act. Go back to it, read it, and it will tell you whether a councillor is an employee or not. And as far as we're concerned, they do not qualify as employees. So you will not report on the flag. Okay, that's news at the side. Then there was the question about consultation, around the fact that if we're going to use consultation and we're saying in the new act, amended act, you have to consult with unions, will that not leave out certain occupational levels where they're not? Remember, it was very specific when Zoki presented this. She indicated that you will give preference to the unions, they will be represented. And if, as an employer, you see a need to pull in other employee representatives, you're welcome to do that. So I imagine that's the approach you would face, you would use. In terms of families and family businesses, especially in the agriculture space, remember that's one of the reasons why we have redefined a designated employer. And we believe most of those family businesses will fall out. Our thinking is, if you look at the agricultural space, they would use seasonal workers most of the time when they're doing certain functions. But if those people are there for less than 3 months, you don't have to report on them as employees, they're temp workers. So in a situation where your profile remains stagnant because it is a family business, and in this case, it has more than 50 people, of course you will get a report. You will get your certificate. If you can justify that there were no opportunities for recruitment, period. You don't have to go and say, Uncle so-and-so is married to Uncle so-and-so, that's why they're in the business. Very simply, there were no recruitment opportunities, and our inspectors will come and verify that. I think I've answered all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's just questions about the targets, not getting to 100. Look, my view is this, let's not be mistaken on that. Remember, the targets that are published were published for public comment. Okay? Now, we're considering all the comments. The minister, when the president gives a date, will publish the final target. That's the first thing that we need to do. The final targets that will be published. And remember also the targets that were set here. That's the first issue. What is the 100%? 100% is the EAP. That's 100%. If we meet the EAP, will be 100%. The EAP that was given there, if we have 82 80% African, and all of that will be 100%. But if you look at the target that we've set, they are far lesser than that. They can never be 100%. They exclude, for example, the percentage of white males that are in the EAP and all of that. I mean, the technical answer that I'm giving you two issues here. First, don't spend your time bogged down about whether is it 100% or 20% on the target, because the targets are not final. If you've made your comment, the comment will be considered just like all other comments. And then the minister will republish the targets again. Say, these are the targets that we're publishing. Secondly, 100%, if you want us to be 100%, we can gladly be 100%. And set the target of 80% for African, whatever the EAP is, then it will give us 100%. Because you are setting a target far lesser than the EAP, how can it be 100%? It's not that we can't count like maybe some presidents and all that stuff. It's what it is.
Thank you. I don't want to bother. It's actually quite difficult because we've been sitting here for a couple of hours. So our concentration span, I'm taking it from my side at my age, it can only go so many hours. So I'm not making an assumption for you. So we're going to see now first. And then we'll be back at 1:45. And then we'll get the CCMA to do their presentation. If there are still people with questions, we can still have those questions immediately after the CCMA, because most of these staff members are still here. So let's see each other back again in 1:45. Thank you very much. So the tea is upstairs, but the bathrooms are downstairs.
They exploited justifiable reasons. And if inspectors come to your organization and want to talk about what you cited as a justifiable reason, and they find out later that that's not justifiable, then you have not complied with the law.
All right. Okay, so let me see. Maybe next. It's fine because we're showing the first page.